What character had the best character arc? Zuko in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Straight up, from hated villain to tragic hero to actual hero. Jesse Pinkman. It was brutal but amazing. Jaime Lannister from Game of Thrones. Edit. A first silver thanks. Edit 2, gold WTF. Thank you kind stranger. Yeah, I still can't believe I started rooting for a sister-banging, child-paralyzing murderer, but here we are. Hopefully he doesn't die in Season 8. Sandor the Hound Clegane has had one wild ride of character development. More so in the show than in the books. Can't wait for the inevitable Clegane Bowl in Say 8 that I'm sure will be oh so satisfying. Steve from Stranger Things. He went from the vaguely douchey but unremarkable boyfriend to a total jerk to having the single greatest redemption arc in television history to being Mom of the Year. Edit. You'll notice I at no point call him a bad boyfriend. Just an unremarkable one. He was fine but not that interesting. And for those saying he was never a total jerk, I feel like you're forgetting the role he played in Spray Painting, starring Nancy Wheeler the Giant Slut on theater marquee for all the town to see. Even if all he did was watch his friend do it, he was still totally complicit in an extremely cruel act. Early Steve maybe never said mean things to people, but he sure as shit did nothing to stop the cruel antics of his friends besides a gentle chastise. Zuko. Hands down, Zuko. Edit Flamio for the gold. Edit Flamio Hotman for the gold. Michael Corleone. By the end of Godfather 2, he's become even more ruthless than his father. An argument could be made that he was there by the end of the original. Would Vito have killed his daughter's husband on the day of their child's baptism? My opinion is no. And of course early in 2 he had an innocent prostitute killed just to get leverage on a senator. Edit. Also in the final scene, his sister was screaming at Michael and his wife that Michael stood Godfather for my son, and then killed his father, and he waited until daddy was dead so nobody could stop Hi Monsieur. Also corrected the spelling of Vito. I actually took the killing of the father on the day of the baptism as being symbolic to Michael. I will not have someone like you be part of this child's life. He was taking vows as the godfather of the child to look out for the best interests of the child. The child's father was an abusive drunk and complicit in the murder of the child's uncle. Boromir had a pretty solid one. I like how his arc comes full circle. He isn't any different from what we see at the start. Super brave, ass-kicking leader of men. The ring brings about a change in Boromir, as it eventually does to everyone. But it's how steadfast Boromir is to his own character that he sees he is making a mistake and sacrifices his life in an attempt to fix it. The exact character traits that got him sent to Rivendell in the first place are what saves him from the ring's influence. LT. Dan. He went from a man who was determined to fulfill a family destiny to losing everything he cared about, to slowly discovering a joy and meaning in life again. A lesser movie could have beautifully tied up his arc after the storm. But they fucking brought him back at the end with titanium legs, a Vietnamese fiancé, and an audience ticket aboard the Fields train. Say what you will of the movie, but Gary Sinise was born to play that role. Edit. Holy shit, first silver. Thanks kind stranger. Edit 2, and first gold. Thanks again kind stranger. Don't you ever call him stupid. Andy in Parks and Rec. His character developed so much throughout the series. He went from this unemployed loser that was hung up on Anne to a successful man with a family by the end of the series, with a lot of growth in the middle. And Andy in The Office was kind of the opposite. He went from a stable career and eventually the manager of the branch to an unemployed loser who lost his girlfriend to another guy. Greater than who lost his girlfriend to another guy. Lost multiple girlfriends to multiple guys. Edit. And one of his girlfriends was in high school. Lord, fear me strength. Ice King. Javert in Les Miserables. I always appreciate a villain who genuinely believes he's doing the right thing. It's human. Megamind. He went from full-on supervillain to understanding the complexities of understanding the importance of good and evil. Now he is a full-blown superhero. Megamind, over here, old friend. In case you haven't noticed, you've fallen right into my trap. Metro Man, you can't trap justice. It's an idea, a belief. Megamind, well, even the most heartfelt belief can be corroded over time. Metro Man, justice is a non-corrosive metal. Megamind, but metals can be melted by the heat of revenge. Metro Man, it's revenge, and it's best served cold. Megamind, but it could be easily reheated in the microwave of evil. Metro Man, well, I think your warranty is about to expire. Megamind, maybe I've got an extended warranty. Metro Man, warranties are invalid if you don't use the product for its intended purpose. Roxy, girls, you're both pretty. Can I go home now? Greater than, but it could be easily reheated in the microwave of evil. Man, I love that movie. Roland Przybylewski from The Wire. He started off as an entitled, useless hothead who blinded a kid for looking at him wrong. But then he transitioned into a somewhat reliable officer who ended up going into teaching to try to help the youth. Phil Connors in Groundhog Day. Poor Phil. Like, he was a dick at the beginning, but he didn't deserve that. I rewatched it for the first time since hearing about the amount of time he spent in there, and then suddenly him committing suicide over and over hit me. Can you imagine being stuck somewhere for years, only to find out you can't even kill yourself to escape it? Fucking brutal. Edit. So I'm seeing a lot of comments about how he had to become a better person to get out of it. But you could argue he was better many iterations before he did. He spent day after day trying to save that old man, performing CPR and crying over his body. Do you think those are the actions of a dick? That loop did not just make him a better man. It destroyed Hi Monsieur. Then put your little hand in mine, there ain't no hill or mountain we can't climb. Phil Connors? Question mark. I thought that was you. Don't say you don't remember me, because I sure as HECKFIRE remember you. Phil Connors in Groundhog Day. Vegeta, going from planet-destroying monster to prideful renegade for life. A little Majin-related relapse. And now is of Super, a family man who will go Super Saiyan and attack God when they threaten his family. Edit. Over 9,000 votes. And thanks for the gold stranger. I will call you Golden Stranger. In the latest chapter of the Super manga, he instinctively saved a Namekian and says, I've done enough harm to this race. I can't allow their numbers to dwindle any further. Like, talk about levels of self-reflection. It might be more of a function of better writing and Hemsworth's improvement as an actor. But Thor did a lot of growing throughout the course of the MCU. And I really like the place that he's arrived at as a character. He really earned that badass entrance in IW. Giving Thor an actual sense of humor made him such a better character. He's my brother. Quote. He killed loads of innocent people. He's adopted. Best portrayal ever emo. Also, he's never fought me. Yes, he has. He's never fought me twice. Thor has a wonderful sense of humor. But it doesn't feel like the core of who he is, and just existing as haha funny wisecrack like other funny characters are. All words are made up. Had me dying. Charles Emerson Winchester III from M*ASH. He went from high-class snob to a very likable character with a lot of depth in the last few seasons of M*ASH. Yes, definitely preferred him over whiny, no-lipped, ferret face Peggy Olson, with the kicker being the whole series really ended up being about her in a way. While you are mesmerized by Don Draper's insanely powerful charms that only seem to serve his self-destructive cycles, leaving him again and again broken and in the same place, Peggy is slowly starting to chew the scenery and become one of the most convincingly transformed, fully fleshed out characters in a series. Her badass saunter into her new office at the end, sunglasses, cigarette, Japanese erotic office wall art under her arm for all to see, is Peggy in her final form. One so inevitable if you have watched the whole show, but unimaginable if you only knew her as the character in the beginning. It definitely applies to a lot of the characters in Mad Men. Someone wrote in television that none of the Mad Men characters undergo any character development, which is crazy. My response: greater than I won't downvote since it's against the spirit of the thread. But if you think that the main characters go through zero character development, I have to question whether you've actually seen the entire show. Greater than I'll give you that Draper's ending could be construed as ambiguous. But to say that Joan, Pete, Roger or Peggy went through seasons 1 to 7 without any changes in character is baffling. Greater than Roger goes from a perpetual man-child with an almost never-ending midlife crisis to someone in a relationship with someone his own age, taking responsibility for his past. Kevin, Joan. Greater than Peggy goes from a wide-eyed naive secretary to a balls-out career-driven Don Jr., who can truly take on the mythical Don Draper, to someone who finds that career isn't the only thing that matters. Greater than Joan does almost the exact opposite. When we meet her, her goal in life is to find a husband who will support her as a family gal. At the end, she's running her own business without the support of any men at all. Greater than when we meet Pete. He yearns to be smooth, suave, talented Don Draper like ladies' man, but by the end he realizes that it was never something that would make him as happy as his life with Trudy and Tammy. Greater than she was born in 1898 in a barn. She died on the 37th floor of a skyscraper. She's an astronaut. Greater than she was born in 1898 in a barn. She died on the 37th floor of a skyscraper. She's an astronaut. That was Bert's eulogy for her. And then in a later season we see him die while watching the moon landing. That Boa Arthur Morgan. Edit. In case anybody hasn't finished RDR2, you really shouldn't read any of the replies here. There are huge spoilers for the game and I'd hate to ruin it for you. Especially if you go high honor in the 6th chapter, it really ties it all together. Probably the Elric brothers from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Their arcs are so intertwined and so amazing at the same time. Absolutely, it's been years but Ed's still one of my favorite male characters in anime. The whole show, Brotherhood, is just fucking incredible. The slow build from let's get our bodies back to there is this guy who looks like our dad who just ate God. I'ma deck him in the face. Andrew Ender Wiggin. We get to see most of his life played out over several books as he lives hundreds of years in. Travels the galaxy. He starts as a scared but vicious boy and becomes a man tying several alien races together for peace. I only read the first book and couldn't get into the second. Even in the first book, he learns to control his darker tendencies, only bringing them out in the infamous shower scene and the climax of the book. The Speaker for the Dead books are fantastic in my opinion. Can't recommend highly enough. Sawyer from Lost started off as a cliché, hard-ass only in it for himself character whose motivations were written all over his face. Over the course of the show, he became one of the deepest and richest characters in all of television history. He experienced more growth as a person than almost any other character I can ever remember. We've seen him as a frightened child, to the extremely selfish and isolated loner, to the con man, to the frequently reluctant leader of the survivors, to a person in a position of authority who has the unbinding trust and love from everyone who knew. Hi Monsieur. He and Juliet were such a great couple. I was seriously hoping they would both survive and go on to have a bunch of tough, beautiful blonde babies who would kick the asses of Jack and Kate's brunettes, who'd just cry all the time. Neville Longbottom, Monsieur from Pudgy Garbage Wizard in Training to Hero of Hogwarts. Tidy. Chihiro from Spirited Away. I like this answer. She grows up so much and becomes so brave and independent over the course of the story. She learns to confront a variety of frightening and difficult situations. Excellent material for kids to see. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.